he's got UCP camo on. Don't listen to him, guys. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Look at that outdated camo pattern, bruh. How dare he wear that? Understandable. Don't listen to what I gotta say, all right? Got this old UCP camouflage on them. Don't listen to me. We're gonna try to get this right, okay, guys? Hold on. I've been really trying to like fiddle with this camera for probably 15 minutes, and the sun is starting to set, and it's kind of get on my nerves. Ain't gonna lie. I wish I could get a better shot, guys, but it's what we're dealing with, right? We warriors, we're not cameramen out here. So yeah, welcome back to the mountain. We're gonna go over some more hot takes, and I'm gonna teach you something. Not really teach you. This is you know how we deal in concepts on this channel, if you didn't know. And I tell you guys my experience and my opinions on stuff, and if you want to listen, that's cool. If you think I'm full of crap, well, that's cool too. All right, either way you want to do it, however you want to put it, what you believe, what you want to believe, what you want to listen to, that's all on you, okay? I have a little bit of experience. I have some notes. I have some references in this little pink book I got. This little pink notebook. And yeah. I'm trying, guys. I'm right up on the thorns. We're going to try to get different shots, but the sun's going down. I just want to make this video real quick. So, when we talk about this, going into this, the mindset that you need to have is, what are my capabilities? Am I really as good as I think I am? And just be realistic, okay? So, the theme of the video is long range viable for if crap hit the fan, without rule of law, alien invasion, you know, Planet of the Apes type situation, you're going to war. You know, you in your house, and then all of a sudden a terrorist cell shows up, calling the women and children, and you're there to defend yourself, right? You have to defend them, your neighborhood, your community, etc., from this threat. Is this viable? Is this a viable option? But I'm talking long range. I'm gonna say meters. I'm gonna switch between meters and yards. The military, NATO uses meters, but vice versa, they're roughly the same distance. Meters a little bit longer than a yard. I'm gonna be talking within or above 300 meters. So anything below 300 meters, that's what I trained on in the military, what I had to qualify with. That's what I have the most experience with, is 300 meters and under. Anything above 300 meters. So we're talking anything above 328 yards. So, you know, 350 yards, 400 yards, 500, 6, 7, 8, etc. However long you want to stretch it out to. Okay, we're gonna go with the benefits and then the cons, and then we're really gonna self-dive, self-loathe a little bit at the end. Okay. So some good points for trying to get shots out to a distance. Especially if you have a suppressor, it could be hard to tell where the fire is coming from. If I start taking fire right now, and there's someone on that mountain way back there, like 3 hills over. I mean, you see this ridge line back here. There's somebody up on that hill, especially with the echo with this, of these hollers and stuff. It would be really hard to tell it's coming from right here. I could think it could sound like it's coming over there. It could sound like it's coming over there. Hell, it could be over there. It would be really hard to detect that just from a shot or two. Keyword is a shot or two. If they miss because they're so far away, they didn't calculate their windage and do the math right, and it hits about 3 foot to my left, and I see it hit right over here, then I know they're directly behind me, and I need to get the hell behind one of these trees. I need to get to cover, or at least some good form of concealment. And if I can't find any, I just need to haul ass to the closest cover or concealment. Okay. So it could be hard to detect where it's coming from, especially with the suppressor. You could be taking shots and have no idea, and you're just a sitting duck. And this is vice versa. You know, you could pin someone down, you could scare someone, or, you know, you could do the whole American Sniper type deal and start taking out enemies at 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 meters, or etc., you know, depending on your skill level. Now, we'll get into the cons later. I don't want to just dog it too much. We're going to go over all the good that I can see as of right now off the top of my head, and then my notes. Besides being hard to detect, if you did miss, or even if you were successful, let's say it was a one and done stakeout, you had a target, you hit it, the farther you are away, the more time you have to get the hell out of there before you're spotted, before you're detected, whether that be from drone, or you're hit with artillery, or eyes on target. So, like, the biggest benefit of long range shots in a situation like that, or in warfare and gunfights, is, like I said, it's hard to detect. And especially if it's a one and done scenario, you have one target and that is all you're worried about, just one person or a bear or whatever you're hunting, then yeah, even if you miss, especially you have an AR platform or some other semi-automatic platform, you can follow up with shots and then take out that one target. However, if there's multiple targets, now we're getting into the downside. If there's multiple targets, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's a squad, a platoon size element of 30 guys, and you're trying to snipe them all at 500, 600 meters, well, that's probably not a good idea, because they can cover that ground and get up on your ass with Humvees or up armored vehicles or tanks or artillery fire within 45 seconds. And even if they're just on foot, they can lay down suppressive fire in your general direction and you're pinned, and then you're dead. So whether you want to use a bolt action or a semi-automatic, either way, it's probably not a good idea, especially if you're alone. Now, if you want to be a sneaky sniper and you've got a suppressor and capabilities of shooting 500 plus yards out, that, you know, that the longer the distance that you are able to reliably hit something, and the quieter you are and the harder to detect, is the more and more advantages you have, and the more and more you are likely to stay alive. Now, with saying that, you know, I want to hit you guys with some facts, because this can be hard for some people, some keyboard warriors and stuff like that. It can be hard for them to understand. You are not a sniper, unless you actually are a sniper. You are not a sniper. Shooting static targets on a range, even out to 1,000 yards, is completely different than people walking around and moving. And even if you wait for them to sit down or lay down, do you really have the cojones? Do you really have the ability to make consistent hits? One shot, one kill. That's kind of the whole terminology, the whole point of long-range shots. Do you really have the ability and the skill set to do that? I mean, I'm talking, you got to do the calculations, the mil-dot adjustments. Do you even know the equation to calculate MOA, or minute of angle? Because this isn't Call of Duty. You know, Call of Duty, they don't have bullet drop. At least, I don't know about the new ones, but the older ones, they don't really have bullet drop. They don't calculate windage. You could quick scope someone 10 foot in front of you or across the whole map in some maps if you have a clear shot As soon as you put the crosshairs on, boom, one shot, one kill, right? That's not the case at all. Anything above 100 yards requires actual skill to hit. There's drops. It depends on your caliber, it depends on what kind of scope you have, what kind of reticle system you have, the length of your barrel, the cartridge that you're using, everything, the ballistics, the terminal velocity, what velocity you're working with in your loads. Yeah, we're going into this. A lot of people don't even realize that's a thing. They're like, oh yeah, I can get my dad's old 308 or 30-06 out and I can just snipe them at 400 yards like it's no issue. And then they shoot, and then they're shooting like 20 inches below because it drops that much at 400 yards. And they're like, what? This scope ain't sighted in. And they click it up, and then boom, boom, boom. Now they're shooting 200 yards. They're shooting way above them. They don't understand. There's actual math and calculations involved. And for you more experienced guys that know the calculations and stuff, like I said, this video may not necessarily be for you, but I really want to harp out there. Do you really have the skill set? Are you really out there training, you know, running these hills and shooting at that distance? And like I said, man, if you live out in the desert or out west where there's no trees and there's rare hills, you know, there's rarely any hills and it's all flat, or even so, you can see stuff for miles, you might have a little bit more experience. It would probably be more viable to make shots out that far, living in those areas. However, most people seem to not live in those areas, if I'm being honest. And even so, even if you are a bit more experienced, like elk hunting or deer hunting in those ranges, how many have you missed? Could you really consistently make those shots over and over and over in a stress scenario when you're actively being hunted? Now let's talk, like I said, let's go over some facts here. So from police1.com, there was a guy, a police officer. He goes and he does reports. I think he might be NYPD. I could be wrong, but he went out and he done some research on, you know, long distance shooting. He went to a class and whatever, and he said easy miss at 200 yards. So any little fundamental that messes up, like your cheek weld, your eye relief, you know, a little bit of shake, even your breathing, any little bit of that is off, even at 200 yards, seem to be easy misses for him. I know everybody's individual. You might have more experience. I'm just saying 200 yards for most people seems to be where it's like, okay, if they don't have a decent foundation, no matter how zoomed in the scope is, if they don't have a decent understanding or practice with the fundamentals of marksmanship, that's when everything starts to kind of tear down. For some people, it's way less. For some people, it's way more, but that seems to be the average, 200 yards. And then he said at 300 yards, it was really, really easy to miss. Any kind of flinch, any kind of movement, or anything off center, off canter, off place, like the eye relief and the eye shadow and the bipod being all weird or whatever he was shooting off of, anything seemed to be a miss. And for 300 meters or 328 yards, like I said, I had to qualify with iron sights on that with a M4A1 military rifle. And it wasn't as hard as you would think with those iron sights. I mean, I was a pretty good shot. I'm not gonna sit here and like stroke my flute over here, but I scored pretty high up there, almost expert most of the time. But I have been shooting since I was 7 and did rifle competitions and did the CMP program in high school and stuff. Aside from all that, I'm not trying to stroke myself off. I'm just saying a lot of people just could not hit the 250 meter or the 300 meter targets, even though that's the qualification, what you're supposed to do. But anything after that, like I said, I don't really have that much experience doing, even with a scope. And it just seems to me like as soon as you get past the 300 meters or the 328 yards, you're getting into a territory where if you're not consistently out there on the range shooting at those distances and honing your skills and your skill set, guys, it's getting dark. I got to wrap this up. If you're not consistently out there at that range, then I probably wouldn't be out here shooting at targets who could actively hunt you back. I'm just saying, like, it's not a good idea. it's just going to give away your position, and especially if you're defending something like your home, or you have a fob or something out there in the wilderness. You're just letting them know, hey, I'm over here, and then they can actually plan. They can use satellite, they can use drones, artillery strikes, explosives, whatever, and then you're gone. Okay. So 300 meters, 300 yards, anything past that seems to be the, well, you probably need special training for this. You need to know the equations, the math, the holdovers, etc. There's turkeys or something over here, brother, flapping their wings, wigging me out. There's something over here, bro. I swear, every time I'm out here, dude, like, you ever get that feeling, like that tingling on the back of your neck? Like you just know something is. Peep the new build, by the way. 10.5 inch M-Lock, angle foregrip light, red dot. We finally moving up from the classics. But you know that feeling you get like you're being watched? Like, dude, there's a deer or some shit staring at. I ain't even shitting. Might be bears. I do live in bear country. I ain't gonna lie. It very well could be a bear. I don't think it's looking at me anymore. I'm not even trying to sound schizo, but like sometimes I'll be out here talking these videos. What gave it away was, I don't know if you've seen it in the video, it was like 100 birds just flew over me. They were all coming from that direction, some that way, some this way. There was no wind or anything, and then I heard something moving over there. That usually means there's something big moving through the woods. But where was I? Yeah, they're flying right over me. Okay, so like I said, you need training anything over 300 meters for sure. I mean, you need training within 300 meters as well, but definitely after that, that's kind of the point where it's like, And then a fact is, most Army snipers and military snipers from across the world, they only make shots out to 800 meters. And that is highly trained, highly skilled individuals, the best of the best. And they only shoot typically between 800 meters to 1,000 meters, give or take. And then after that, most of the time they don't make shots out that far. And that is trained military snipers, okay? So a 1 MOA rifle will shoot a 3-inch group with no other variables at 300 yards. So if your rifle is capable of shooting 1 MOA, which is a pretty good rifle, most civilian, decent mid-tier, even low-tier builds, seems like nowadays with the modern machining, they shoot 1 or 1.5 MOA. That is still a 3-inch room of air at 300 yards. And that, like I said, that's a pretty decent rifle setup, and that's with you, that is just the max capability of the rifle. That's not introducing the human air, which is the main antagonist of rifle marksmanship, human air. The military standard is 4 MOA before they junk it. Most military rifles shoot 4 MOA. So if you take that, multiply it by 3, that is a 12-inch group at 300 yards. That is a 12 inches left or right from center mass from where you're aiming that bullet could go. That's not calculating windage. That's not calculating the drop or anything of that nature. It's solely that bullet. There's like a 12-inch circle from the center of where you aim that it could hit. So that at 300 meters or 300 yards, actually, not even meters, 300 yards, that is a huge room for air. Not even on your part, excluding the human messing up the fundamentals, excluding the human factor, that is a huge room for air. Now, I know that's the military standard. They got a little bit lower than what us prepared civilians should be. I mean, let's be honest. Military grade, the military tactics, we need to take that doctrine and improve on that. The average prepared civilian needs to be on par with the average special forces soldier, or at least somewhere close. I'm just being honest. I know that sounds absolutely crazy, but we can hit the gym, we can go out here and we can train on our own programs and stuff, and we can be out in our own environments and know everything, all our land and stuff, family's land like the back of our hand, and we can have a hometown advantage just in case we ever get invaded. So that's something to think about. Okay, so I started doing research into gunfights. You know, there used to be this thing like when you concealed carry, 3 yards, 3 seconds, 3 rounds fired. That's always been the average, but that actually came from the 1970s from the NYPD. That is a study. So, I mean, that was a little bit old. I had it written down, but I was like, I don't know if I really want to use that. And then I kind of went down this rabbit hole. All these shootings and engagements that happen were usually police, and I'm gonna pop it up here, the little picture I took, but really that doesn't do anything for us because this isn't military engagements. I couldn't really find anything crazy about military engagements, except the average military engagement or gunfight is 90 yards. Most of the time it happens within 300 meters or 328 yards. I mean, a good chunk of that. It hardly ever happens above that. And that's one reason that the Army and most branches in the military, you only have to shoot out to 300 meters, because 99% of the time, that's an overshoot, it's really like 90% of the time, you're not gonna shoot over that in a gunfight, a real gunfight. The average gunfight, the distance between the fighters is 90 yards. And that is in every terrain, desert, whatever, 90 yards. Already hit on snipers train up to 800 meters, and the longest confirmed kill was 3,540 meters by a Canadian sniper in the Iraqi war. That is a long shot, but we are talking highly trained individuals that do have room for error because they have a whole standing government organization behind their back. If he missed, they could have been a drone to wipe out that whole hut within 30 seconds. I'm just saying. So I just wanted to shed light on that. I thought that was pretty interesting in my research. And that was pretty much it. You know, I could have went more in depth with everything, in depth on my notes. Like I said, I used Wikipedia, and then I used Police One Tactical, is police1.com, and then some info from Lucky Gunner for the NYPD study. And then also throughout this video, I've been using my own personal experience. But I'm not really trying to, what I'm trying to say is train how you fight. And if you plan, if your whole plan revolves around you being up in the mountains and you shooting 400 or 500 yards, then Bubba, you need to take a alien or whatever you're preparing for. You need to take that target, actual size version. You need to set it out there, because after 300 meters, a silhouette target looks like a pop can. Actually, it's like half a pop can. Okay. That's takes pretty good aim. Pretty good aim, I'm just saying. You need to take it out there, you need to actually be shooting, and you need to at least have like a 90% accuracy if you plan on taking anybody or anything on with what you have and what you're running. You know, you train how you fight, and you guys need to be out there in training. Let me tell you something. I spend a lot of time on YouTube and the internet. Well, I don't watch Netflix, I don't watch Prime Video, or none of the subscriptions. That's all the family. Me, I'm on YouTube watching gun content or like video essays. I'll listen to some creepy stories. That's literally it. That's all I watch. Hours and hours a week, 8, 10, 12 hours a week. You know, I'll be sitting here like researching this stuff. And I also, in my videos, I try to put out common sense, and I try to keep everything on a budget. But even if you have a $3,000 rifle, can you really tell me that 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 yards, you're gonna make consistent hits, and you're confident enough to save your life and your buddy's life and protect your family and your community? Hey guys, we're out kind of in the sniper hide. obviously I'm not trying to be quiet. This is just training. I'm out here. I built a little hide, little blind, and I'm out looking for pretty much anything that's in season to shoot. And after some waiting, I got a target down there. Point is, guys, I don't just tell you to what works and what doesn't work. I tell you from my personal experience, and I try to share that. If you are good at shooting at long range, I went out to 255 yards yesterday. I hit 17 hits on a standard silhouette at 255 yards with my SBR build. Now, I'm not going to say I had to dial it down because I kept hitting in the head, but I was aiming center mass. It was shooting a little high. However, 255 yards is nothing really to scoff at. So it can be done, like shooting at longer ranges, 200, 300, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 yards. Especially with practice, it can be done. But if you're going to do something like that, make sure you do your research. That's a big thing. I mean, you see me, I got the Remington 700 here, bolt action. But what if somebody comes up on me? Right here, I got a Glock 19 with a 17 round mag and a red dot. So I'm prepared, I'm ready to go. I got it right here. Now, preferably, snipers in the military work in teams. Preferably, you would have somebody with you carrying an M4 platform, AR platform, AK-47, something of that variety with you at all times to kind of be your chauffeur. Like I said, spot you and just protect you while you do your thing. But if you're trying to rock solo, it's risky business, man. I mean, you can only get shots off. You can only get shots off until you're seen or detected, and then after that, you're not gonna get nothing. As soon as you're detected, there's gonna be a hail of bullets coming your way. And like I said, this channel is more about concepts. And yeah, that's the concept. If you're gonna shoot far, make sure you have a lot of practice, but also understand if you do miss, you're telling them, hey, I'm here, come get me. That's basically what you're doing. So yeah, guys, just be smart about it. Do your research, and the most important thing, if you took anything away from this, whether you want to go long range or stay within the 90-yard limit, the average gunfighting, the 300-meter limit, just practice, practice, practice. It could literally save your life one day. See you guys next time on the mountain.